Breaking tonight, our team scouring the new audio just released of Ghislaine Maxwell being interviewed by the Trump Justice Department. The imprisoned Jeffrey Epstein accomplice is saying there is no client list and claiming no high-profile people were involved in improper activity. And then this revelation.
I do not believe he died by suicide.
Maxwell weighing in on Epstein's death in prison as the president faces more pressure to release more documents. And breaking tonight, the deadly tour bus crash on the way back from Niagara Falls, killing 5 people. Some passengers ejected after authorities say the bus lost control at full speed. Medical helicopters lining up to airlift the victims to safety. And the FBI searching the home and office of former National Security Advisor John Bolton, a former Trump ally who's now an outspoken critic. A source saying the search is related to classified documents, and all of it coming after Bolton called Trump's second term a retribution presidency. What the vice president says in an exclusive interview with Kristen Welker. And Lyle Menendez set to learn his fate a day after his brother Eric was denied parole. Also, a major manufacturing fire sending smoke and flames into the air, prompting evacuations in Louisiana. And then how these giants of California are finding a new home in Detroit. The small hands putting them there and inspiring the next generation. Coming up as Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Good evening, I'm Gotti Schwartz in for Tom, and tonight we are hearing directly from the woman at the center of the Jeffrey Epstein case.
I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
The imprisoned former girlfriend of Epstein heard on audio recordings released by the Department of Justice. She described in depth her relationship with a convicted sex offender and answered questions about President Trump, saying she never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting. Maxwell also saying she does not believe Epstein died by suicide, and all of it part of the transcripts and audio recordings released tonight from Maxwell's 2-day interview last month with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. It comes as the Trump administration continues to face calls for more information about Epstein, Maxwell, and anyone else who may have been associated with them. Gabe Gutierrez starts us off tonight.
Tonight, Ghislaine Maxwell in her own words.
I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way.
Describing her interactions with President Trump decades ago.
The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
She also says she does not believe former President Clinton did anything inappropriate either, while interacting with Jeffrey Epstein, who would later become a convicted sex offender.
President Clinton was my friend, not Epstein's friend.
Over 2 days last month, Maxwell spoke with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was once one of President Trump's personal lawyers.
You meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything.
The White House has been facing mounting pressure to release more information about the investigation into Epstein, who the Justice Department concluded died by suicide while awaiting trial in 2019. Conspiracy theories have swirled that he was murdered to cover up a client list.
Did you know of the existence of any such list?
There is no list.
Maxwell was asked about what she thinks happened.
I do not believe he died by suicide.
Still, she insists that Epstein likely would not have been targeted by someone outside the prison.
If it is indeed murder, I believe it was an internal situation.
Maxwell's serving 20 years as Epstein's co-conspirator in the sex trafficking of young women, though her attorney says she's innocent. Also today, the Justice Department turned over the first batch of its Epstein files to Congress in response to a subpoena.
I'm in support of keeping it open. Innocent people shouldn't be hurt, but I'm in support of keeping it totally open. I couldn't care less. You got a lot of people that it could be mentioned in those files that don't deserve to be people, because he knew everybody in Palm Beach.
Gabe Gutierrez joins us now from the White House. Gabe, could Ghislaine Maxwell be pardoned here?
Gotti, several survivors of Epstein's crimes and their families are vehemently against that. But today, Maxwell's attorney argued that his client was a scapegoat after Epstein died in prison. The president recently said that he was allowed to pardon her, but no one had asked him. Gotti.
Gabe Gutierrez at the White House. Gabe, thank you. Now to the tragic crash in western New York, where officials say a tour bus with more than 50 people on board lost control and rolled over into a ditch after a trip to Niagara Falls. Some passengers ejected, and there is a desperate effort to rescue others who were trapped. Here's Sam Brock.
Tonight, the New York State Thruway, the site for a mass casualty incident, with police confirming 5 deaths, but no children were killed. State police confirming this tour bus that was laying on its passenger side about 30 miles outside Buffalo crashed in the middle of the day returning to New York City from Niagara Falls after they say the driver lost control, went into the median and overcorrected into a ditch.
We have multiple fatalities, multiple entrapments, and multiple injuries.
A passenger manifest, they say, confirmed 54 people total were riding the bus, including the driver, who police say, quote, is alive and well and cooperating with law enforcement as they work to figure out what happened. The Erie County Medical Center says it's caring for 24 patients, 2 of whom are in the ICU. And telling NBC News they have a team of emergency department physicians deployed at the scene of the crash.
This is probably the most trauma patients we've had from one incident in my career here in Buffalo. Over 25 years. Over 25 years.
The situation potentially exacerbated.
I've got people under the bus and I got people in the bus.
By some passengers not wearing seatbelts.
Most people, I'm assuming, on the bus did not have a seatbelt on. That is the reason why we have so many ejected people.
Police say it's likely the bus rolled over at full speed before coming to rest on its side, but authorities say there was no mechanical error or operator impairment. And late tonight, New York State Police releasing the name of that tour bus company, M&Y Tour Bus Inc. from Staten Island. NBC News has reached out, but so far has not heard back. It's also worth noting that police tell us just about everybody on that bus, Gotti, was injured, ranging from fractures to head wounds. One medical center actually saying they have 2 patients right now in critical condition. The NTSB is launching an investigation. Gotti.
Sam, thank you. And now to that FBI search at the home of former Trump administration official turned fierce critic John Bolton, looking into allegations he mishandled classified information. Here's Kelly O'Donnell.
A quiet suburban morning interrupted early over national secrets. Agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation turned up to execute a court-approved search warrant related to classified materials, according to officials. Carried out at the Bethesda, Maryland home and the Washington, D.C. office of John Bolton, a prominent Trump critic and former national security advisor in Term 1. New tonight, the CIA director provided intelligence to the FBI used to obtain the warrant, according to a person familiar. Bolton's wife, Gretchen, seen at home during the search. Bolton was recently asked if he expected to be targeted.
I think it is a retribution presidency.
I know nothing about it. I just saw it this morning.
But President Trump today said he first learned about the searches from television.
I purposely don't want to really get involved in it. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. I thought he was a sleazebag, actually. And he suffers major Trump derangement syndrome, but so do a lot of people, and they're not being affected by anything we do.
In an interview with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker, Vice President Vance weighed in.
Classified documents are certainly part of it, but I think that there's a broad concern about Ambassador Bolton. They're going to look into it. And like I said, if there's no crime here, we're not going to prosecute it. If there is a crime here, of course, Ambassador Bolton will get his day in court.
Bolton returned to his home this afternoon, but has not made any statement. During today's search, FBI Director Kash Patel posted, "No one is above the law." A source close to Bolton says this investigation may have been prompted by his criticism and his 2020 book. The first Trump administration had sued to stop its publication, saying it had classified information. Later, the Biden administration declined to pursue it further. Gotti?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. And Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press, joins us now. Kristen, you also had a fascinating conversation with the Russian foreign minister, and he seems to be casting major doubts about a potential meeting with the Ukrainians as President Trump has called for. Let's take a quick listen here.
There's no meeting planned, Mr. Foreign Minister. That's a big if. You're saying there's no meeting planned right now.
Kristen, I'm awfully sorry. You're not listening. There is no meeting planned. And I'm not challenging this, but you cannot, I think, understand what I am saying. Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky when the agenda would be ready for a summit. And this agenda is not ready at all.
It seems cryptic to me, but where does this leave peace talks?
Well, Gotti, look, 1 week after that Trump-Putin summit in Alaska, the future of the peace talks are even more uncertain, with no clear path forward. And here's the question. Given that Russia won't agree to a meeting, rejected an immediate ceasefire, and launched a new attack on an American company in Ukraine, there are serious doubts about Russia's willingness to come to the negotiating table. President Trump saying today we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks. That's, of course, a familiar line for him. But after those two big summits, it's just not clear where things go next. Gotti.
Kristen, thank you so much. And of course, you can see much more of Kristen's news-making interviews with the Vice President and Sergei Lavrov this Sunday on Meet the Press. And now to the Middle East and an official declaration of famine in parts of Gaza, all as President Trump is accusing Hamas of extortion for refusing to release all of its hostages. Here's Matt Bradley.
Tonight, the alarming new declaration. The world's top food security watchdog declaring a famine in Gaza's largest city. The group saying more than 500,000 Gazans are suffering famine conditions characterized by starvation, destitution, and death. Itamad Kelab is desperately worried about her 3-year-old nephew, Abdul Rahman. He was in perfect health before the famine, she says. His hair started to fall out and he developed swelling in his leg. UN agencies blame Israel, saying it's not letting enough food aid through. But Israel says thousands of trucks with aid have entered Gaza since May, slamming the report as an outright lie based on biased information originating from Hamas. All as Israel's expanding its offensive against Hamas, following Hamas's agreement to a ceasefire proposal to release half of its 20 remaining living hostages. But Israel and President Trump demanding Hamas release all of its hostages now.
So now they have 20. The situation has to end. It's extortion and it has to end. And we'll see what happens. I actually think they're safer in many ways if you went in and you really went in fast and you did it.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel plans to return to ceasefire negotiations with Hamas, but also proceed with plans to defeat the terror group once and for all. Gotti?
Matt Bradley, thank you. Here at home, 5 months after he was unlawfully deported, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was released from jail in Tennessee. Now, he came to the United States illegally in 2019, but was deported to El Salvador despite a judge's order in what the Trump administration called an administrative error. Officials brought him back after a grand jury indicted him on human smuggling charges. He's pleaded not guilty and is awaiting trial. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is looking to speed up deportations, hiring 10,000 new ICE agents and training them at a new facility in Georgia. Here's Julia Ainsley.
It's dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, a federal facility to detain and deport migrants. But a judge now ordering it shut down over environmental concerns in the Everglades. Florida set to appeal. A new legal hurdle for the Trump administration, which has reduced illegal border crossings to record lows and is now trying to speed up deportations.
This is a mock neighborhood that ICE has set up for new recruits to come in and practice doing what they would do out in the field.
Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons showing us this facility to train 10,000 new officers.
This is the police with a warrant. Open the door.
Doing mock arrests of criminal suspects and a driving course.
ICE's new recruits take turns driving in simulated high-speed chases.
All as ICE faces escalating criticism from Democrats in sanctuary cities who refuse to cooperate with the agency.
Stop attacking our cities.
What do you say to that?
It's frustrating. We're dedicated to going out and getting those criminal aliens out of the neighborhood because time and time again, much like we saw in New Jersey, you have an individual that gets arrested twice for DUI. ICE put a detainer on him. They didn't notify us. They ignored the detainer. He goes out later, a third DUI, and kills a mother and an 11-year-old child.
We asked about the call from Washington, D.C.'s mayor for ICE to stay away from schools.
Can you guarantee ICE will not be on school campuses on Monday in D.C.?
You're not going to see ICE officers doing a raid or a sweep, if you will. But our goal, one that Secretary Noem is passionate about, is finding those 300,000 undocumented children and those minors that came here to the last administration. We've seen so many cases of some of these children that we've rescued in sex trafficking rings, human trafficking rings, forced labor.
And we pressed him on the few cases where American citizens were mistakenly arrested and then released.
Do people just have to bring passports with them everywhere they go to prove their citizenship?
No, that is a training issue that we're working on.
He says violence against ICE officers has soared 1,000%, but they've still received 121,000 applications for 10,000 ICE jobs. Julia Ainsley, NBC News, Brunswick, Georgia.
Julia, thank you. And when we return in 60 seconds, Eric Menendez denied bail suddenly late last night. Now his brother Lyle pleading his case. But why this may not be the end of their chance at getting out of prison. Coming up next. And back now with the latest on the Menendez brothers' push for parole. A day after Eric Menendez was denied, it's his older brother Lyle's turn to argue why he should be released. And all of that coming 36 years after his parents' murders. Here's Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, Lyle Menendez making his case for freedom to a California parole board, a day after a separate panel denied parole to his younger brother Eric. The Menendez brothers now eligible for parole for the first time since they were convicted of the 1989 murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty, in their Beverly Hills mansion, which they say was self-defense after years of abuse.
I just told them that I didn't want to do this and that it hurt me.
At the end of Eric's 10-hour-long hearing Thursday, the parole board issuing their searing response, telling the now 54-year-old, contrary to your supporters' beliefs, you have not been a model prisoner. And frankly, we find that a little disturbing. The board pressing Eric about his prison record, including some involvement with violence well over a decade ago and his repeated use of contraband cell phones. Lyle, now 57, also has multiple prison infractions, including for cell phone usage, but no instances of violence while behind bars, according to the DA.
In the decades they've spent behind bars, they're going to have different records, different histories. So there's a chance they may look at him differently than his brother, but it's not likely.
Tonight, despite the denial, the family remaining hopeful.
We knew this was a steep climb, right?
After the board saying Eric can seek parole again in just 3 years.
And Gotti, that means if Eric has no more infractions, he may be able to apply for parole even sooner than that. As for Lyle, his hearing is still underway. Gotti.
Liz Kreutz, thank you. We're back in a moment with a massive fire at an oil plant, why homes and a school are being evacuated, and the major economic news that sent the market soaring today. That's coming up next. And back now with the strong close for the markets, the Dow soaring more than 800 points, a nearly 2% surge to end the week. Now, this comes after Fed Chair Jerome Powell gave his strongest signal yet that interest rate cuts are on the way and could happen soon, possibly next month. Powell has also faced major pressure from the president to cut those rates. Powell saying the potential rate cuts are to address growing risks to the economy, especially the job market, and not because of the president. Trump saying today that Powell should have done it sooner. And down south, stunning drone footage shows the aftermath of an apparent explosion at a Louisiana manufacturing facility about an hour northeast of Baton Rouge. The fire and smoke seen pouring out of those structures there. Local officials ordering an evacuation of that area, including a nearby elementary school. The sheriff's office says no injuries have been reported. And then it's Yankees versus the Red Sox. And of course, you can count on some big crowds. But last night, it was a free giveaway that had fans lining up. Check this out. The first 18,000 fans got bobbleheads of New York legend George Costanza from Seinfeld. He's sleeping under his desk like he did when he worked for the Yanks. Remember that one? When we come back, the good news tonight about a tiny forest of giant trees being planted right inside a major American city. And finally tonight, there is good news for the children of Detroit, tasked with becoming guardians of what could become a mighty sequoia forest in the middle of Motor City.
Hello, Mr. Tree.
In a small corner of Detroit, kids showing some love to a baby sequoia.
And I thought this was easy. It's not easy.
Before setting out to plant tiny giants of their own.
This one has lots of fruits.
We're empowering the youth. Some of the inner city kids don't have much of a chance. We're teaching them a skill of how to help heal their area and have a really important role in reversing some of the mistakes that we made. I remember when you were born.
That's David Millark, who has spent his life studying, protecting, and cloning some of the world's most ancient sequoias from treetop clippings harvested on climbs like this that I had a chance to try a long time ago.
And one of the most remarkable things about the view up here from the treetop is you get an overview of the forest.
Whether Detroit will ever look like this in the future, only time will tell. But this area, called Poletown East, has already seen dramatic changes to its landscape.
This was all homes. What happened to this neighborhood?
There was a large factory built. It was an eminent domain project a mile from here that bulldozed 1,600 homes and 16 churches and lots of businesses and really damage the neighborhood.
Fast forward to today.
So this was just vacant lots 5 years ago. We said, like, let's make a park on the corner. Why is all this vacant space just sitting here when it could be filled with trees, beauty, shade, oxygen?
Birch Kemp of Arboretum Detroit says once the new trees are in the ground, it'll be up to the kids to make sure they take root.
I think it's like a cool opportunity that we get to come here and do this stuff for not just us, but like the whole entire world.
MJ and his friends planting legacies of hope that could keep growing for the next 3,000 years. How about that? And that organization is giving away 300 trees right there that anybody in Detroit can come and plant in their backyard. That's going to be the news for today. Here's hoping for a better tomorrow. I'm Gotti Schwartz. And from all of us here at NBC News, have a wonderful night.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.